So can I ask a dumb question? How long does the virus remain in the human body? If not,
so far, we found 3 years, 4 years.
Is there any reason to believe it'll naturally go away?
Not if your body's immunosuppressed. So it's a circle. You ask what causes cancer? Because your body's immunosuppressed. You have in your body nature's compound. And if the tumor or the infection or the inflammation suppresses it, you have to find a way to reactivate it and clear the virus. It's literally as simple as that. And that's the missing link that I think.
So it sounds like you're describing what could be like the worst human health crisis in history.
I don't know how to say that without saying it. It scares the pants off me because I think what we may be, I don't think it's virus versus man now, right? This is existential. I think when I talk about the largest non-infectious pandemic that we're afraid of, this is it. Because while there was an increased rise in cancer in our country because of the idea of the toxins and everything else, this immunosuppression that has occurred now globally, and more importantly, the immunosuppression tied to inflammation, chronic inflammation, which is asymptomatic and sometimes it's not. There's 15 million Americans with long COVID. And they're not psychiatric when they have memory loss. They're not psychiatric when they have instantaneous heart attacks. It's not psychiatric when you have an 8-year-old, 10-year-old with colon cancer, a 13-year-old with pancreatic cancer. So the idea was, is there a solution? And this is what, thank God.
Well, I certainly hope so. Because you've spent your life around scary diseases. Like that's been your life. Yep. And if you're scared, then that's not a good sign.
I'm scared but hopeful. I think it's important for me to have this conversation with you, not just, that's why, okay, I'll share with you a conversation I had. I got invited by the CEO of the Henry Jackson Foundation to come to DC, I think October, November last year during the election phase, and just to have a conversation about what I'm doing. And there he brought the leader from Walter Reed, the BARDA, the DOD, the NIH, the NIAID, all into that room. And it was just me. And I said, it is time. It is time for me to reveal to this learned group of leaders about what I'm scared about. And I spent, I think it was 3 hours, no slides, just me speaking alone on the stage and all of them in the audience. When I first started the conversation, the first sentence was, I think COVID is oncogenic. One of the members of the audience said, that's nonsense. I said, okay, let me explain to you what we've been doing in our research. At the end of 3 hours, 4 hours, he said, you've got to publish this. This is so important. And I said, yes, we are processing the publication. And what came out was this paper that they biopsied the colon of young people temporarily when no COVID to COVID and showed the persistence of replicating viruses in the colon tissue 2 years out.
Replicating COVID viruses?
Replicating COVID viruses. Replicating. Asymptomatic replicating in the tissue, meaning there's inflammation. And when you have this inflammation, these neutrophils, now getting geeky again, plasticize, flip from a protective neutrophil to a suppressive neutrophil. It's called an N2. It's called a myeloid-derived suppressor cell. That's the official name. So now you have suppression in your body. And it's no wonder that then converts into colon cancer.
Wait, so is this true, do you think, have you had COVID?
No.
Lucky man.
Not lucky man. T-cell man. I have a T-cell in my body that protects me from the nucleic capsid.
Where do I get one?
That trial was held up by the FDA and by Collins and Fauci.
But you never got COVID because your protector cells were so strong?
Not only a protector cells, if I do get COVID, the virus clears. You want to clear the virus.
Get the hell out of my body.
Get it out.
Wait, I just want to pause here. I know you're in the midst of a much larger story, but this is something I think everyone can understand. So I think I'm in good health. I am in very robust.
Did you have COVID?
I did.
How many times?
One. I never took the virus. I never took the vaccine.
Okay.
But I got COVID, knocked me right on my butt. It was a bad 3 days. Fine. But I don't understand. You're older than I am. How did you never get, I just want to get very specific. Like, everyone on the planet got COVID.
Okay, so let me give you some idea. Okay. One, because we understand the implications. My wife, touch wood, also never got COVID because of both of us. So this is the story. We, by that, unfortunately, I relate this. It's a painful thing to me because I related to Kobe's death. It was during Kobe's time when he passed away, and at the funeral,
Kobe Bryant, who you were close to,
correct, very close to, and at the funeral, at his funeral, all the people in the room, and it was, I think, November, and I turned to Gavin Newsom and I said, "Listen, this is one virus I'm worried about because I was studying this virus. I understand HPV very well and I understand hepatitis." I said, "This is not a respiratory virus. This is a dangerous virus." So I went back and I shut down our organization so that we could actually do nothing else but COVID. My entire team of hundreds of scientists on Zoom and everything else around the world. I said, we must go after this virus with a vaccine that clears the virus. And the only way to clear the virus is to have what we call a T cell, an NK cell, the cells that kills cancer cells. And I wrote a paper with Carlos Godon that says COVID's like cancer and cancer's like COVID, meaning it's immune suppression that causes its spread. And it's immunosuppression by the COVID virus that allows it to persist. So the only vaccine that's important is a T-cell vaccine. But that's what I'm telling you. Virologists think about antibodies versus cellular therapy. It's foreign to them to have a vaccine that stimulates T-cells. So I said, I understand that internally.
It's a little weird since in 20 minutes you explained it to me, not particularly high IQ, not a scientist. I understand exactly what you're saying. Why isn't it obvious to virologists? Why isn't that like day one lesson in virology school that the T cells, that the cells that protect you against all potential internal harm, like they're the key?
Because every vaccine so far is antibody-based. Dogma. Blind spots.
Okay. Now we're cooking with gas. Now I understand what you're talking about. Dogma. Blind spots. Nicely put. Okay. I'm sorry. I keep stepping on your story. So you figure out.
You're not stepping because you're actually interpreting it's pleasure to me because I don't know what I'm saying sometimes, whether it's going to be so geeky, it gets lost. It's important for the audience for you to interpret. This is what Sanjay did for me in the 60 Minutes. He was brilliant in this. He spent 2 years with me, by the way, doing a little 15-minute piece.
Wow.
Yeah.